ora, hi. Welcome to the Auckland Explorer bus. We're delighted to show you around our city, where you'll find a rare mix of urban excitement and natural scenic beauty. We're not the only ones who think Auckland's unique. International surveys consistently rate the city as one of the world's best places to live. Enjoy your tour today. Hop off at any stop and explore at your own pace. Then hop on the next bus and keep going. Our commentary shares fun and fascinating stories, from the volcanic eruptions that shaped New Zealand to our first human inhabitants, the Maori. Your safety is our top priority. We'd like to remind you that you must always remain seated while the bus is in motion. Additionally, as a courtesy to other passengers, please do not talk while the commentary is playing. All cruise ship passengers, please take note that the bus does not return to the wharf to drop you off. Instead, you will disembark at the downtown Auckland stop at the end of your tour. That stop is located a short 5-minute stroll back to your cruise ship. Located on level 5 of the Sky City precinct, join a thrilling 90-minute guided tour where you will explore the mind-bending, immersive experience named Weta Workshop Unleashed. It's wacky, it's imaginative, and it has won multiple global awards since opening in 2020. At Weta Workshop Unleashed, you get hands-on with enchanting environments. The All Blacks experience immerses you in the story of rugby, our national obsession in Aotearoa. Find out if you have what it takes to make, shape and be an All Black star in this state-of-the-art interactive experience located inside the Sky City precinct. Dining, the All Blacks experience and Weta Workshop Unleashed.
Oh, we're back where we started.
When the bus is stopped at traffic lights and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times. The next stop will be the Art Gallery. Stop here for Queen Street, Albert Park, the Civic Theatre and the Town Hall. Year's Eve in Auckland, everyone watches the Sky Tower at midnight when it erupts in a spectacular display of fireworks. The fountain of sparkling light looks incredible, reflected in the Waitemata Harbour. New Zealand kicks off the worldwide festivities because we're just west of the international dateline. Corner, take a guided tour of the Auckland Town Hall, a prominent civic landmark on Queen Street, which has been the centre of the city's political and cultural life since it opened in 1911. Take a step back in time and discover the history that welcomed some of the biggest names that performed in the Great Hall. The Rolling Stones, the Beatles and Sir Elton John, to name a few. Adjacent to the town hall in the heart of Auckland is Aotea Square, a popular location for festivals, events, live music and performing arts. Or Maori facial tattoos. They cover the faces of the men, but only the chins of the women. This stop is for the Auckland Art Gallery, Queen Street, the Civic Theatre and Town Hall. For your safety, passengers must remain seated whenever the bus is in motion, when the bus is stopped at traffic lights and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times. We can now see New Zealand's largest university, the University of Auckland. When it opened in 1883, it had only 4 professors and 95 students attending class in an old courthouse and jail. Today, the university has 5 campuses across Auckland, over 40,000 students, and it consistently ranks in the top 100 universities worldwide. The University of Auckland may also have the world's cutest university crest. It shows 3 kiwi birds running over blue waves. Our next stop will be the Newmarket shopping district. sky lay embracing his wife, Papatuanuku, the earth. Their children lay between them in darkness, unable to separate their parents. One of them, Tane Mahuta, placed his shoulders against his mother and pressed his feet against his father, pushing them apart with all his strength. When the children first saw daylight, they became gods. Tāwhiri Mātia, the god of winds and storms, never wanted his parents separated. He still sends storms to punish Tane Mahuta, the god of people and forests. The largest kauri in New Zealand is called Tane Mahuta, the Lord of the Forest. As tall as a 17-story building, this tree may have sprouted more than 1,500 years ago. Kauri trees are protected from logging operations today, but they're threatened by a fungus-like disease called kauri dieback. Once they're infected, it's too late to save them. To help preserve these rare and majestic trees, please clean your footwear, tyres and equipment before and after visiting a place where kauri grow, and stay on the paths or walkways to avoid stepping on the tree roots. Welcome to Newmarket. Newmarket was strategically important to the various iwi that occupied the land here. Local Maori knew this area as Te Ki Tūtahi, meaning sacred cabbage tree standing alone. This cabbage tree was a landmark for those travelling between the Manukau and Waitemata harbours. Sadly, it was cut down in 1908 as it was considered a danger to the children attending the local school. The precinct housed cattle yards, market gardens, breweries, sawmills, bakers, ironmongers, and general retail. People gathered here to buy and sell their wares. Today, Newmarket has transformed into an upscale shopping precinct where you'll find an abundance of designer fashion boutiques and shoe stores. Nuffield Street Broadway and the stylish Westfield Shopping Mall make Newmarket the ultimate destination for shopping, fun, and relaxation. Seated whenever the bus is in motion, when the bus is stopped at traffic lights, and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, our next stop will be the Auckland War Memorial Museum.
Oh, that's one. Mommy, that one's stop.
Looking for traditional New Zealand food? We have at least 5 sheep for every human, so you can't go wrong eating good New Zealand lamb. Or try hangi. Hangi is a traditional Maori method of cooking. Food is traditionally wrapped in leaves that are placed on hot stones at the bottom of a hole. The food is then covered with a wet cloth and earth, which traps the heat around the food and cooks it until it's juicy and delicious. Auckland's parks and gardens are a good place to spot one of our most beloved birds, and one of the noisiest. The tui uses an impressive vocabulary of songs, grunts, coughs, wheezes and screams to mark its territory and frighten other birds away. Tui look black from a distance, but up close you can see their iridescent blue, green and bronze feathers, and a white tuft at their throat. They often show off by flying above the forest canopy, then diving straight down, whirring their wings and vocalizing madly. Memories happened where we are headed next, the Auckland Domain. The site was known as Pukikawa by Maori before being gifted to the new town of Auckland. In 1845, the park became known as the Auckland Domain. Look around as we drive into the 75-hectare green space. You'll see gardens, greenhouses, sculptures, sports fields, and groves of trees with trails winding through them. We'll climb to the high point where the Auckland War Memorial Museum is located, then circle all the way around the museum to our next stop. Along the way, you might notice the odd shape of the landscape. That's because we're driving through the crater of an extinct volcano. Here's where early Maori built a fortified village called a pa, as they did on many of our volcanoes. Auckland Domain used to be a place where Maori came for protection. Now, everyone comes here for recreation, entertainment, enlightenment, and fun. In front of the Auckland War Memorial Museum stands a monument to New Zealand soldiers who've lost their lives in wartime. Inside the museum, you can learn about New Zealand's military history and see the world's leading collection of exhibits about Pacific culture, including an authentic Maori waka or war canoe and an ancestral meeting house. Take a close-up look at our unique natural history, including flightless birds like the giant moa, an extinct species that stood up to 3 meters or almost 10 feet tall. Experience the terror in Auckland today if one of our volcanoes erupted again, or trace the evolution of New Zealand design and decorative arts. There's even a heartfelt history of childhood in this country and an interactive hands-on gallery just for kids.
Oh, school. Oh, cool. Let's see the children. Oh, the children are here. The children are also there. Oh, but they're so scared.
This stop is Auckland War Memorial Museum. Hop off here to explore. There's something for everyone. When the bus is stopped at traffic lights and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times. The first Anglican Bishop of New Zealand, George Augustus Selwyn, arrived in 1842. You can trace his legacy at our next stop, where you'll find 2 unique and inspiring churches, Holy Trinity Cathedral and the Church of St Mary's. Bishop Selwyn came to establish a church for British colonists and supervise missionary work for the Maori. He also purchased the land where these churches stand today to fulfill his dream of building a cathedral. When we arrive, you'll see a striking modern building with a glass wall and 3 sharp peaks in the roofline. This is the Bishop Selwyn Chapel, a recent addition to Holy Trinity. There's no cost to enter the cathedral, and inside you will see incredible stained glass windows and an altar made of native kauri wood. Holy Trinity replaced the earlier cathedral St Mary, placed on rollers and moved. Yes, the whole building. So it would sit behind Holy Trinity. That was quite the spectacle to see. It's well worth your time to explore the warm, inviting interior of St Mary's, which is constructed entirely from kauri wood. This stop is Holy Trinity. Hop off to tour the cathedral and the Church of St Mary's.
What does a hop on hop off mean?
Just like what we did.
They're planning to finish it here.
Our next stop will be Parnell Village.
It's been under construction for the last 20
Sure, Aucklanders love tramping around the beaches in the native bush, but don't get the wrong impression. This is a city of over 1.6 million. About a third of the nation's population lives here, and we like our big city fun, like going out for a meal and shopping.
named Gaudi.
Our next stop is an only in Auckland experience, with quaint little cafes, art galleries and shops specialising in handcrafted gifts. It's called Parnell Village, a beautifully restored old neighbourhood where you can wander along brick and wooden walkways past flowering plants, relax over a cuppa, tea and scones, and shop for gifts made of native woods, sheepskin and New Zealand greenstone. This district back in the 1970s using all recycled materials. Every time I come here, it feels like stepping back in time to a
Go to the smart tower, then we can go to here, and then we can get off and see the harbour and stuff on the outside. Maybe the local live. I like the idea of this better than going to Auckland.
For your safety, passengers must remain seated whenever the bus is in motion, when the bus is stopped at traffic lights, and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times. From here, we head along the waterfront to Takaparafu, Bastion Point. New Zealand greenstone is not just beautiful, but filled with meaning. This semi-precious stone, also called jade, nephrite or pornamu, comes in a variety of colours. In Maori beliefs, pornamu jewellery absorbs the spiritual essence of whoever wears it, taking on greater power as it's handed down across the generations. A link to the power of the ancestors. It's one of the many lovely New Zealand-made souvenirs you can purchase as a gift to take back home with you. twirling small weighted balls on strings, originally an exercise to develop wrist strength. Sometimes groups of performers compete in songs and dances with traditional music, speech, movement and facial expressions. Kapahaka festivals like Polyfest and Te Matatini draw gigantic audiences from across the Pacific, both live and on TV.
Why is it that top points with Italy?
building stands on the same spot as the city's first airport. The planes used to land on the water. In 1939, Tasman Empire Airways Limited, or TEAL, began regular passenger and freight services using seaplanes, meaning planes that could take off from and land on the water. You can still take a seaplane tour for the most thrilling views of New Zealand from the sky and sea. Out in the Hauriki Gulf sits a large island that pretty much covers the entire entrance to our harbour. That's Rangitoto, a volcano that rose out of the sea in a fiery eruption 600 years ago, which makes it Auckland's youngest volcano. Over the eons, dozens of volcanoes erupted along the fault. That's what created the dramatic landscape of islands and grassy, cone-shaped hills that you see today. You'll have an amazing view of Rangitoto from our next stop on Bastion Point. A photo opportunity you won't want to miss. Rangitoto is a 25-minute ferry trip from the city. The track to the island summit takes you past the lava fields with tunnels and caves and through the world's largest Pohutakawa forest. When you get to the top, you'll be rewarded with an awe-inspiring panoramic view of Auckland and the islands in the Gulf. We're passing some large, spreading trees called Pohutakawa. You'll often see them lining our waterfront, but they're just as happy clinging to rocky cliffs and slopes. It's easiest to spot them when they're in bloom and absolutely covered with bright red flowers. This starts around mid-November each year and lasts till Christmas. For New Zealanders, the Pohutakawa is a colourful symbol of Christmas and summer fun. Auckland's nickname is the City of Sails. You'll probably see why as you scan the water around us. It's often crowded with sailboats jockeying for space with motorboats, yachts, kayaks, ferries, freighters, tugboats and cruise ships. With two huge harbours, Auckland is an international destination for sailors, including competitors in the America's Cup Regatta. Aucklanders own more recreational vessels per capita than any city on earth. We also spend more time at the beach because no matter where you are in Auckland, there's always one nearby. We have 3,200 kilometres or nearly 2,000 miles of coastline, including the islands of the Hauriki Gulf. That includes peaceful white sand beaches of the South Pacific along our east coast or rugged black sand beaches to the west on the shores of the Tasman. Be warned though, we do get rough surf and riptides along the west coast. Always check with the beach patrol before you go in the water. Surfing, paddleboarding and sunbathing. We love living in our togs and jandals. That's New Zealand slang. Togs means a bathing suit and jandals are footwear you call thongs or flip-flops. We'll pass over the top of Auckland's iconic maritime attraction, Life Aquarium. Please note, we will not be stopping here in this direction, but we will stop at Kelly Tarleton's on our return trip from Bastion Point. approaching Bastion Point, known to the Maori as Takaparafo. In the 1970s and 1980s, Takaparafo was the focus of occupations and demonstrations by protesters who were asking the government to return the land to its rightful owners, the Ngāti Whātua tribe, or iwi. Back in 1885, Ngāti Whātua had agreed to temporarily hand over this land, or whenua, to the New Zealand government. But the government didn't honour their side of the agreement and never gave the whenua back to Ngāti Whātua. This came to a head in 1976 when the Prime Minister of the day announced his intention to sell the whenua for luxury housing development. Joe Hawke, a prominent Ngāti Whātua leader, organised a group that set up camp and occupied the area for 506 days until the government sent in the army and police to evict the group. 222 people were arrested that day, and their gardens and buildings were demolished. Joe Hawke and his group never gave up on their quest to have their whenua returned. Eventually, in 1987, the Waitangi Treaty Tribunal made a historic decision, ordering the government to return the whenua to Ngāti Whātua. Today, you can enjoy the beautiful open grounds with their breathtaking views over the harbour and the islands of the Hauriki Gulf. You can also take time to explore the monument built in honour of Michael Savage, one of our beloved Prime Ministers from 1935 to 1940. This stop is Takaparafo Bastion Point. Hop off here for some amazing photo opportunities. Takaparafo, Bastion Point, this stop. Safety, passengers must remain seated whenever the bus is in motion, when the bus is stopped at traffic lights, and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times. Next stop will be Sea Life Tarleton's Aquarium. For scuba diving that he wanted to share with the world. He imagined building a transparent tunnel on the ocean floor where the public could see the magnificent creatures of the deep from a diver's point of view. This dream became a reality at Sea Life Tarleton's Aquarium, our next stop. You'll enter the aquarium through one of its most fascinating exhibits, a replica of the 1911 wooden hut that sheltered a team of Antarctic explorers led by Captain Robert Falcon Scott. You'll experience firsthand the cramped quarters filled with scientific specimens and photographs collected by one of the first land explorations of Antarctica. Nearby, you'll find some of Antarctica's most famous residents, king penguins. Every year, it's a treat to watch the fledgling penguins make their first attempt to waddle through the snow. You may find yourself thinking of the adorable Mumble in the 2006 movie Happy Feet. You'll also encounter eels, sharks, turtles, stingrays, octopuses, seahorses, and dozens more sea creatures, large and small. No visit to Auckland is complete without a trip to Kelly Tarleton's. This stop is Sea Life Kelly Tarleton's Aquarium. Hop off to explore the underwater viewing tunnels and the world's largest exhibit of Antarctic king penguins. Sea Life Kelly Tarleton's Aquarium. For your safety, passengers must remain seated whenever the bus is in motion, when the bus is stopped at traffic lights, and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times. With so little space in the city, you may wonder why there aren't more buildings in the green space that we're passing now. All you'll see is a church and an urupa, also known as a cemetery. Originally, the Ngāti Whātua iwi had a settlement here. However, the City Council thought the land was valuable real estate, and in 1952, they moved the residents to state houses on the hill above us. After moving the residents, the City Council decided to burn down the village to remove all traces before a royal visit by the Queen. Unfortunately, only the little urupa was left of the land that Ngāti Whātua called their own. Today, the area is held in a reserve as a park that can be enjoyed by all. As the lands are considered sacred, or tapu, by Maori, under New Zealand law, no one can ever build or develop the land here. Our last stop will be near the waterfront in downtown Auckland. It's the perfect place to enjoy fresh sea breezes over a glass of wine. If you look straight across the harbour to the North Shore, you'll see the small seaside hub of Devonport. Browse the art galleries and shops in this quaint Victorian seaside village while you drink in extraordinary views of downtown Auckland. Devonport sits on a peninsula with 2 volcanic peaks. Our nation is officially bilingual, so these mountains have names in both Maori and English. That's Takarunga, Mount Victoria in the centre, scare of the 1870s. North Head had the job of guarding Auckland, along with the islands of the Hauriki Gulf, just outside the Waitemata Harbour. You can explore the gun batteries and fortifications, along with the underground tunnels that run beneath the site. North Head also has some of the best views of the Auckland skyline. Generations have reshaped and added to the coastline, transforming Judges Bay into a tidal lagoon. A few years ago, it was redesigned as a swimming area with a small beach and rafts, along with a picnic area and promenade. It's close to the Parnell Village, New Zealand's largest saltwater swimming pool. working port. So every day, you'll see a steady stream of freight vessels. They're a vital link to the outside world. This is an island nation. Anything we don't produce ourselves, we have to import. Huge ships and other goods into the country along this waterfront every day. This is also where our exports leave the country. Billions of dollars worth of New Zealand meat, dairy products and timber ship out of here for China, Australia, South Korea and the United States. Whenever I get the chance, I stroll from the ocean floor to the surface millions of years ago. There's a Maori tale of the demigod Maui, a trickster who caught a giant fish that became the North Island. Maui's brothers began cutting off pieces of the fish, carving the ridges and valleys that you see in the landscape today. Their waka, or canoe, became the South Island. Surrounds us, isolating us from the outside world. This is one of the last lands on Earth where humans settled. The Maori tell of a bold explorer named Kupe who discovered Aotearoa, New Zealand, while chasing an octopus away from Hawaii. The legend from the first landfall to the America's Cup with historic vessels, artworks, scale models and more. You'll find the Maritime Museum located in the Viaduct Harbour. We are approaching Britomart, one of Auckland's trendiest districts. It's named for the HMS Britomart, the British brig that raised the Union Jack over Auckland for the first time in 1840. Now, Aucklanders and visitors flock to Britomart for fun. You'll find everything from upscale boutiques to nightclubs, yoga. We are approaching the downtown Auckland stop. This is your stop for Britomart, the Viaduct Harbour, the New Zealand Maritime Museum, and the Auckland Whale and Dolphin Safari experience. If you are returning to your cruise ship from here, walk a short distance to Quay Street, but please remain seated until we are approaching the downtown Auckland stop. This is your stop for Britomart, the Viaduct Harbour, the New Zealand Maritime Museum. If you are returning to your cruise ship from here, walk a short distance to Quay Street, but please remain seated until we get to the stop.